Welcome to Tone Deaf, a theater nerd's guide for their musically challenged spouse. I'm Kay, a musical theater nerd.
And I'm Warren. I'm musically challenged.
I need to, prepare for these. I always forget that you're going to do something adorable.
No, not always. I mean, I'm trying to keep you on your toes.
That's fair. That's fair.
Sometimes I showcase my lack of singing skill, and other times I just go right into my sultry after dark voice.
The patrons can hear whenever they join Patreon.
This is true.
At certain levels. So, as y'all may remember, last week we covered The Wiz live. Today, we're going to cover The Wiz movie.
The version I have not seen.
The version you have not seen. So, are you ready to continue this Ozian journey? Ozian is the correct word.
Oh, okay. I think I'm ready. I may have regrets later, or I don't know.
We'll see. So, first I'm going to just do a really quick review on the Broadway version of The Wiz. I know that you allegedly got told about it last time, so we'll see. We'll see if you remember this. So the Broadway version was written by Charlie Smalls, I can say words, who did the music, and William F. Brown, who did the book. It was one of the shows that was credited with mainstreaming the idea of all-black musicals in the minds of white theatergoers. It was this, Raisin, and Pearly that paved the way for shows like Dreamgirls and Bubbling Brown Sugar, and he's glassing over again. Okay, we'll go back to shows that we've covered.
So The Color Purple, is that a movie or a musical?
So first it was a book, then it was a movie, and then it was a musical in the early 2000s.
So is the musical Raisin what happens when you leave the color purple out in the sun too long?
Oh my god.
The groans of dozens of listeners echoed in unison throughout the multiverse. Man, that's sad if we have just dozens of listeners throughout the entire multiverse. Tens of dozens of listeners.
We have more than that. But, yeah, so I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but Raisin is a musical based on the play Raisin in the Sun that we haven't covered yet. So, there we go. That's my short, sweet thing, so that I don't go into a long, and this was the history of this thing. What were we talking about again?
Welcome to Tangent the Podcast. I'm Warren. I get Kay sidetracked.
Yes, he does. So, like we said last week, The Wiz was an unexpected hit, which meant movie. I am a little bit surprised that they went movie, considering that a couple of other movie musicals that came before this one did not do so well and may have helped kill the movie musical for a little while. That would be Camelot, Hello, Dolly, and I'm trying to remember the third one. It'll come to me later. We'll probably cover it, and then you'll be like, oh, I see why. So, originally the movie was supposed to star Stephanie Mills, who, you may remember, was the first Dorothy on Broadway for The Wiz. In fact, this film was being produced by Motown Productions, which is now DePass Entertainment, which was founded by Barry Gordon of Motown Records. We'll probably do an episode on him later.
Okay.
So, Gordy really wanted Stephanie Mills to be in it. Keep in mind, though, that I did not mention Stephanie Mills when we were talking about the movie previously, like going, oh, Michael Jackson's in it. I had only mentioned her being the original Dorothy and then returning to play Auntie M in the live version, and that is because of Diana Ross. The Diana Ross. Of the Supremes? Okay. I'm so glad that I worked these in, because this will help you.
The name is super familiar, and I know if I saw a picture of her or heard something, I'd be like, oh, that Diana Ross. Of course. Any idiot knows who Diana Ross is.
Well, Diana Ross heard about the project and was like, "Stop in the name of love. I want to be Dorothy." And Berry Gordy was like, "You're 33. Dorothy is a child. No." So then Ross went around him to the executive producer of Universal Pictures, Rob Cohen, and was like, "Come see about me." And he was like, "Okay, yeah, if you're attached to it as the lead, then I'll produce it because people know you and they don't know this up-and-coming R&B singer Stephanie Mills." And Gordy was like, "Well, I really want to get this made, so if we hold on together, I know our dreams of a Wiz movie will never die," and gave the go-ahead to Ross instead of Mills. Mistake number 1. Bing! So then our original director, John Badham, was like, "Ain't no way she's young enough. Ain't no way she fits this part. Ain't no way I'm doing this. Go get you another director." Okay, so what he really said was, Ross is a wonderful singer, she's a terrific actress and a great dancer, but she's not this character. She is not the 6-year-old little girl in Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. So they had Universal on hand because of Diana Ross, and Universal was so excited for this that they didn't set a budget at first. Mistake number 2. Bing! Mistake number 3, bing, comes here. And this is the first name that I am pretty sure you will recognize.
Will or won't?
Will.
Michael Jackson?
No.
Oh.
He was one of the good things. The script... Do I need to get your screaming pillow? Yeah, maybe.
Oh, no. I thought I left this in February.
The script was written by Joel Schumacher.
What?
Yes.
Joel Schumacher wrote it?
Schumacher.
What? You mean there's not enough black writers to write the black movie? What the Really?
It gets worse. So, he and Ross were both influenced by Werner Erhard's seminar training, which is a thing we'll cover later because I didn't want to get too into it and get sidetracked, but basically it influences the script a lot. And Rob Cohen put it this way: the movie was becoming an Estian, that's short for Erhard Seminar's training, fable, full of est buzzwords about knowing who you are and sharing and all that. I hated the script a lot, but it was hard to argue with Ross because she was recognizing in the script all of the stuff that she had worked out in est seminars. Another part of this mistake is that while Schumacher had seen the play, he went, "That's nice," and didn't use the script that was already there.
So that's when he went ahead and wrote his own?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Like I said last week, saying that it's good isn't accurate, but I still like this show a lot.
So, funny sidebar about that. When I was with my dad last week, helping him move his girlfriend in, we were just talking and stuff in the delivery truck, and he's asking how our podcast is going. I was mentioning that we're going to be doing this one coming up next, and he said that was one of the only movies he ever walked out on. One of the other ones was Tommy. And he happened to mention that he was probably too young, and I think he was still in the church at that point, so I think it was probably a little too...
For Tommy, I can see that. For The Wiz, we'll get to it for The Wiz. So, let's see, where was I? Oh, I was on to the director now. The director is Sidney Lumet.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, we'll talk about him a little later, too, but...
I thought the director the writer was Schumacher?
Writer was Schumacher. This is before Schumacher started directing.
Okay.
So...
I'll say, but the director has the power to change anything they want, so couldn't they've looked at Schumacher's script and been like, "No, this is garbage"?
Not when you have Diana Ross on board. She's a pretty powerful woman.
Oh, and that's right, and she loved this. She was like...
she loved this script. and was the reason that Universal picked this up.
Okay.
So, Sidney Lumet was brought in to direct, and fun fact, his mother-in-law at the time was cast as Glinda in this film.
Cool.
I'm not telling you who she is. You'll find out later. And don't ask who it is.
I love you have faith in me. Like, you'll recognize this person.
I'm pretty sure you will.
I'll probably recognize the face and go, who is that?
So, LeMay decided that he wanted this film to be so unique that it would be an experience nobody has ever witnessed before.
Dude, don't do that! Don't! You have a successful Broadway show! Take that successful Broadway show, put it to film for people to enjoy! Don't go, hold my beer, I got this. Like,
I mean, to be fair...
To be fair...
It is something people hadn't seen before.
It isn't always a good thing.
So, he was asked how to compare it to the 1939 MGM film, and he said, "There's nothing to be gained from that film other than to make certain we didn't use anything from it. They made a brilliant movie, and even though our concept is different, they're Kansas, we're New York, they're white, we're black, and the score and books are totally different. We wanted to make sure that we never overlapped in any area." By the way, Lumet was not black. Just because your mother-in-law's black doesn't mean you are. So now on to the person who kind of saves this movie from being, like, complete... This is the person who saves this movie from a universal, like, every critic hated its score. And of course, we're talking about Michael motherfucking Jackson.
Jamon.
This is Michael Jackson, hot off of the Jackson 5.
So still black.
Still black, and right off of the Jackson 5, leaving Motown Records. And he was cast as the Scarecrow. He's 19 years old at the time.
Okay, so this is before Thriller, right?
Oh, yes, and I'm getting to that in a sec.
Sorry.
So, he was one of the first thoughts for the role from the perspective of Rob Cohen and Barry Gordon, whereas Lumet was like, he's a Vegas act, I want Jimmy Walker from Good Times. Then they saw him when he was brought in for a tryout, and even though Joe Jackson wasn't thrilled about letting his son into this role and away from the Jackson 5...
Screw you, Joe.
Jackson was cast, and for the first time ever was on his own in New York. Fun fact, and this is where we're getting to with Thriller, it was during the production of this film that the groundwork for Jackson's solo career was made.
Ah.
Yep.
Nice.
And I want to say it was Quincy Jones who helped make that happen, who's also working on this movie. Another fun fact, Stan Winston of Jurassic Park special effects fame did the prosthetics for the Scarecrow.
Nice.
No expenses were spared.
Spared no expense.
Yes, spared no expense. God. Anyway.
We even watched those
recently, and I watched those when they first came out.
It's okay, Kay. You're a dinosaur nerd, not an Old English actor nerd.
That's true. I am... Old English actors, and my brain just sort of goes into static after a little while. But then with dinosaurs, it's like... Oh boy!
Let me recall every fact I know crystal clear.
Yeah, let me tell you everything about Ceratosaurus. Okay, anyway. Sidetracked. This was filmed in New York, with the World Trade Center standing in as the Emerald City, Astroland and Coney Island being where the Tin Man's hanging out, and the crumbling New York State Pavilion from the World Fair as Munchkin Land.
Oh, so, like, the whole world of Oz is in New York.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Oz is set in New York. And, like, it's one of those things where, like, it's really obvious it's New York, but they still try to make it a little Ozian. So it's not like, oh, Dorothy just suddenly went to New York. No, it's still called Oz. But, anyway.
I mean, that would also be an interesting adventure, a 6-year-old girl by herself in New York City.
Yeah. So... Remember how I said they spared no expense?
Did they spare an expense?
At the time, this was the most expensive movie musical. And they should have spared some expenses. Because it cost $24 million. Want to know how much it made?
What year was this done again?
78.
It's 1978 and $24 million. It made half that.
It made just over half at $13.6 million.
Ooh.
Critics panned the fuck out of this show and were like, what is this grown-ass woman doing playing Dorothy? Also, there were some folks calling her neurotic and unattractive, which I'm like, I would not call Diana Ross unattractive, like, ever.
I'll be the judge of that.
This movie was also the death knell for Hollywood-backed films with all-black casts until Coming in America in 1988, so yeah.
You know, I hate that kind of crap where it's like, oh, this film did bad, that means no more black films. Meanwhile, whenever a movie with a predominantly white cast fails, they're just like, we'll make another one.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It drives me nuts, and I could go on a tangent about that and how I'm still bitter that Princess and the Frog didn't do as well, and that it just not gonna gripe. Anyway, Jackson did win the show an NAACP Image Award for Outstanding Actor, but this is the only award that the film won. According to one review, and this might have been something that your dad went through, The Wiz was too scary for children and too silly for adults. Ray Bolger, who played the Scarecrow in the 1939 film, said, The Wiz is overblown and will never have the universal appeal that the classic MGM musical has attained. And then Kay, who has an opinion that matters more than these folks, says, fuck all y'all, I love this movie and it didn't scare me as a kid.
Then again, you also did not get scared by Jurassic Park.
That's true. I was this little kid just sitting there in the theater like, oh boy, dinosaur, haha, the T-Rex ate the lawyer. Good job, T-Rex.
Yeah.
Go get him, Raptors. Haha, the Dilophosaurus didn't look like that, and it was a lot taller. Newman would have been dead already.
Oh, God,
I don't
love
even
you.
remember. I love you. I don't even remember Newman's actor's actual name. I just call him Newman.
Yeah, I don't either.
But yeah, so that's my little introduction to the Wiz movie. Are you prepared?
No.
Have you dropped the acid yet?
No. Where did I think I took both of ours I don't.
Okay.
Whoa, it's starting to kick in. Your computer's turning into 1,000 snakes.
Well, I guess we're gonna go watch 1,000 Snakes. I don't know. That didn't work.
We're gonna watch 1,000 snakes perform Wizard of Oz.
I guess that would imply that the computer's performing Wizard of Oz. We're gonna watch all of Michael Jackson's characters perform the Wizard of Oz. Captain EO is Dorothy.
Like it'll be similar to my coma dream last episode.
Yeah. We still need to take you to the doctor over that one, but you know.
Well, I mean, I talked to somebody online and they said it doesn't do any more. I didn't do any more damage to my brain than a weekend of binge drinking or 5 minutes on cell phone.
Okay. I mean, if the internet said... Wait, was it Goop?
Maybe.
Your silence scares me. All right, well...
I just really want one of those vagina candles. I got you a jade egg.
Oh, God, let's go before I regret this. Let's go. Hey, Warren.
Hey, Kay.
Do you know what time it is?
Is it time to thank our favorite people in the whole world?
Heck yeah! Today, we would like to thank our stage crew sponsor, Jasmine Wu.
And our producer circle sponsors, Bianucci, Reagan, and Taylor Brandt.
Thank you all so much for your support of our show.
We truly appreciate it.
Dear Diary, it's been 3 months since I became famous. Since the day my dreams came true. Since my life changed forever. That means 3 months to think about the perils of stardom. the pitfalls of celebrity and how my life just went straight to hell. Oh! None of that happened because being famous is like the greatest thing ever.
She was an unknown actress way back in season 1. Now she's really famous and her life is much more fun. She's walking the red carpet, even got a household name. Here's hoping she won't screw it up and go back to being lame. Welcome to season 2 of the Carlötta Beautox Chronicles.
The Carlötta Beautox Chronicles returns January 20, 2020.
This whole fame thing is gonna be a total no-brainer.
And now, the lights are going down and the music's starting back up, so let's head back to the second act of our show. Alright, Warren, shall we whiz this motherfucker up?
I'm ready to let it flow.
So what did you think about that movie, The Wiz?
The 1978 production of The Wiz. I actually liked it. It's really.
I knew I chose correctly.
What do you mean?
I chose you. So I chose correctly.
Yay! Yeah, I did like it. It was very different and very weird in some parts. But it hit all the, the keynotes of The Wizard of Oz. The story's all there. There were some interesting costume choices and some interesting art direction. I definitely don't agree with every choice that was made.
Yeah.
But overall, I don't think that it's as... I don't think that it should have bombed as big as it did.
Honestly, I agree, because I think about shows that are around the same time frame, and, well, no, the other show that I was going to compare it to that would be a movie musical that was in the 70s that has achieved a cult status would be Rocky Horror, but that actually didn't do well when it was first released either. But this, I would watch over and over. Rocky Horror, not so much.
Yeah. The biggest criticism, honestly, that I would give this show is I didn't really care for it being set in New York.
Uh-huh.
Like, with her starting out in New York or whatever and getting whisked away to Oz.
Yeah.
Sure, but I just didn't... It felt out of place. It didn't feel like she was in this other world. Mm-hmm. It actually reminded me quite a bit of Godspell.
Yeah.
Because they're running around this very vacant New York and kind of going to some locales, but doing their whimsy versus like just being in the world and existing as people in the Big Apple.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Big Apple, okay, I'm gonna get to the fucking Big Apple.
Speaking of bad art direction.
So, my notes begin. Thanksgiving morning, New York, 1978, and the streets are filled with cocaine. Or maybe it's snow cane, co-snow. All I know is that this weather blows. There's white stuff all over the streets of New York. I mean, it is 1978 in New York.
Yeah.
And I think it's like at the height of the cocaine time.
It was about the starts of it, yeah.
Well, okay. K knows more about illicit drugs and their history than I do from your wild years before we met.
What you saying?
I think I said it. I think I said plenty. Just kidding. She tickled me. Just like every Thanksgiving for a while. Oh, okay. Woo! Let's see. Gotta read this note real quick because this may be a bad choice. Let's see. So this note doesn't really make sense, and I will try to correct it after I read it. Just like every Thanksgiving for white people, Aunt Em starts to sing while everyone else is trying to sing. See, this is why I stopped going to my family's Thanksgiving. All of the singing was just too much for me. Let a man eat his turkey and pass out in peace. So with that scene, that note is garbage, and I apologize. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe it was too much snow cane. I don't know. But we see it's Thanksgiving, and it shows the inside of Dorothy's aunt's apartment. And they're pulling the turkey out of the oven, they're cutting up some ham, and they're just getting everything ready for Thanksgiving. There's people mingling about, just socializing, and then everybody sits down to the table, and then Aunt Em just kind of comes over to one of her nieces, not Dorothy. Like, normally this song...
It's her daughter.
Oh, it's her daughter, okay. Mm-hmm. But normally she'd be singing this to Dorothy in the other version. But she comes over to her daughter and just basically grabs her head and puts it to her bosom and just starts singing the song that Aunt Em normally... There's like the all beat.
Such a weird direction.
It really was a weird direction, and everybody else is kind of like smiling but looking around like, when we gonna eat? Like, why are you singing, Aunt Em? And...
Like, I will say, though, that the singing part with the Thanksgivings that I used to go to, that was a tradition. We would just all be singing at the table.
But you were all musically talented people. I remember going to one of those with you the first year we were dating, and them being like, nope, this white boy has to sing too. And I'm like... Fantastic. I think I ended up singing like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Yes, you did.
That's what I ended up singing.
We have that on tape.
Because they were like, you gotta sing something, it's tradition. I'm like, tradition, this sucks. But yeah. So
you were happy to just sit and listen and absorb it.
I wanted to just sit there and listen to all of these talented people sing. I didn't want to be put on the spot and be like, now dance, white boy, it's reverse minstrel shows.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Dance for our amusement.
Now you know how it feels.
Now I do know how
Every single damn time that I go anywhere. And it's like, Kay, sing and dance for me. No!
But I like it when you sing. I don't make you dance, but I make you sing.
That's true.
I hold her down and I go, sing!
Sing for me, my angel of music!
Wrong show.
Sing!
Okay. Dorothy Ross can't take any more of the family singing, and she goes into the kitchen to get it.
Hold on.
Yes?
Dorothy Ross.
Dorothy Ross.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
Yep, Dorothy Ross. Get used to it.
Oh, God.
Dorothy Ross can't take any more of the family singing, and she goes into the kitchen to get a jump on dessert. Dorothy Ross pulls out the cake, and when we think she's about to scarf that bad boy down, she instead takes the moment to have an existential crisis about how she doesn't know where she belongs and how she can't relate with all those happy people in the other room. Like, she does. She, like, breaks down in tears in the kitchen about just... That's what it seemed like. Like, she's just having this existential crisis about life.
I will say that Thanksgiving is one of those times that I get the most existential, so... Why am I here? Why am I about to consume an entire bird? This was a dinosaur once. Now I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Spared no expense.
Nature's got a sick sense of humor, let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. One quick thing, though, about the whole Thanksgiving thing. I had forgotten to mention this earlier, but I want to say it's BET1 has shown this show for Thanksgiving a couple of times. Because technically you could consider this a Thanksgiving musical just because of that scene. In the same way that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
And we've been in arguments about this. It takes place during the holiday, but that's not the main focus. So therefore, it's not a Thanksgiving or Christmas movie. It is just a movie that happens to take place in that time. Right?
I don't know. I'd watch that. I'd watch Die Hard over Elf every year. I'd watch this over Happy Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown, because that show's fucked up. And I like Peanuts, and that one's fucked up. That's the worst of the specials.
All right, back on track now. To help alleviate Dorothy Ross's anxiety and existential dread about her life, Aunt Em decides to meddle in Dorothy's life, saying, "Why don't you go teach high school instead of wiping the snot off those kindergartners' faces?" Aunt Em just can't let Dorothy enjoy the comfortable rut she's in, and Toto, having enough of Aunt Em's meddling in Dorothy's life, decides to bail and take his chances with the blowstorm that's raging outside.
The blowstorm? God damn it.
So, yeah. So, okay, that summed up pretty well. So, like, dinner's over, and actually this line made me laugh, where Aunt Em comes in the kitchen, she's like, "These dishes ain't gonna wash themselves," and I'm looking at the pile of dishes, I'm like, those fuckers are already clean. Like, this is... There's no dirty dishes in this scene. Everything's already clean, but then they go through the motions of, like, pretending to clean.
Yeah.
And Aunt Em just keeps being like, "Oh, you thought about taking that new job?" And she's like, "I thought about it, but no." She's like, "Oh, but you'll be with high schoolers, and you'll get 4 years with those kids instead of just 1 with the kindergartners, and it pays more, and it'll take you out of your comfort." Just basically, like, trying to force her to do something new.
And that's said by someone who obviously is not currently teaching.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Because you love those little kids at first, and then by the end you're like, "I'm so glad that you're going on to the next grade. I will do anything to make sure you're not held back."
Dorothy Ross rushes out to retrieve the little bitch Toto. Dorothy catches up to Toto, who is up to his belly in New York blow. Dorothy clutches Toto to her chest as she starts to feel the effects of the blowstorm, and before she can attempt to seek shelter, she and Toto are attacked by a blow-nado. A cocaine tornado barreling down the street. And it's such a bad CGI moment. I mean, it's 1978, so I don't know what to say about it.
I think that one is practical effects, but that doesn't help it.
I don't think it was practical effects. That was definitely a fake tornado.
Well, I mean, like, they were doing... Because you can do practical effects to make fake tornadoes, but, like... Because CGI, I don't think was a thing at this point.
I think I know what you mean. It was just...
Yeah.
But it was very, obviously, a green screen kind of thing.
It was very badly done. It was bad practical effects is what it was.
I'm sure it was good for the time. I mean, remember, most expensive movie ever made at the time. Musical movie.
Yeah, but I think all their money went to a scene later.
Okay.
Spared no expense.
This is not Jurassic Park. Well, that's right, but the costume...
Stan Winston.
Yeah, okay.
He worked on it. It works.
You win this round, Kay. And probably all the rounds after. The blow-nado takes us up into space, where the cocaine goddess of the stars blows Dorothy out of the blow-nado and sends her to Oz, which apparently has a ceiling as Dorothy crashes through it and lands in a... sand pit? In a playground with neon paint and a very, very heavy creep factor. In a couple notes, you can tell me what this place is, because I know you mentioned it and I don't remember what it is. Anyways, the first true nightmare scene comes up as people who are painted on the walls peel themselves off the wall and proceed to swarm Dorothy in her glowing sandpit. Dorothy, who is super high on cocaine right now, screams in absolute terror as we think the graffiti people are about to horribly attack Dorothy. They instead congratulate her on murdering the evil witch of the painted playground. So, what the fuck is that place again?
It was the New York Pavilion from the World's Fair, and it was, like, crumbling and stuff, and...
You said it was abandoned, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that graffiti is graffiti that was there and they just used it? Or what? Or if they painted graffiti for it?
Spared no expense. They probably did.
But yeah, because it's like this big concrete enclosed circle area with like slides and a lot of other playground stuff. And it looks very post-apocalyptic in a lot of ways.
That's the crux of this movie, is post-apocalypse.
It really does. Like, it's like Dorothy's wandering this wasteland, but it just happens to be New York City. But there's some parts that's like,
There
whoa.
was a period of time when New York City was not great.
There needs to be some renovation done there. But, Dorothy Ross is confused, understandably, but crushes Toto to her chest as the painted munchkins usher the Good Witch of the North, Miss One. Miss One alleviates Dorothy Ross's pent-up fear, but only momentarily, before taking a number 2 on her wishes to go home, saying she needs to flow on down to the Wiz to ask him for help to send her home. But not before all the munchkins, high on paint fumes, dance and hula hoop and flip and dash and dance about in a... I don't really know what to call that. A dance scene, I guess, would probably be the best descriptor.
I mean, it's a celebration. It's honestly more interesting than
We represent
yeah,
the
it's,
Lollipop
It's a lot
Guild.
more interesting than the Munchkin Land scene in the 1939 Oz.
For sure, but even
And
that...
much more joyous, even though it's still creepy. There's joy from those characters.
The thing is at least in the other version, it's like bright and sunny.
Yeah.
And it's outside and you have this feeling of warmth. In this version, I have this feeling of like impending dread. Like, there's so many, like, it's so dark and just kind of depressing.
I mean, the Oz books aren't necessarily all fun and games.
Okay, fair.
See? Chop fight.
It's all fun and games until someone drops a house on you.
Or in this case, the letter Z.
Yeah, the letter Z, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Like, when Dorothy crashes through the ceiling to enter Oz, the ceiling she crashes through has this big Z in the middle of, like, the dome. And that's the Z that, like, lands and crushes the witch instead of a house.
Yeah, it was basically the emblem for Oz, which is the O and then a Z in the middle of it.
That makes sense.
Touch number 1 from the book. Touch number 2 was Miss One's slate. They actually had her with the slate as well, so...
And also, like, whose idea was it to name her Miss One? Why was that
Big shrug.
Why was that a decision? That was a bad decision, in my opinion.
No, I agree. That one was one of those, like, why though?
They could have
like,
kept her at a pearl or something?
Like, they do it a little bit playing, like, numbers games, basically, with Dorothy. But even then, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, it doesn't really work. Okay.
I blame Joel Schumacher.
As Miss One sends Dorothy Ross on her way, telling her to take the yellow cab to the Wiz, the yellow cab, as in sticking true to New York stereotypes,
Yep.
opts to not pick up the black woman, and instead drives off, saying that it is off-duty,
Yep.
leaving Dorothy Ross to wander the now-vacant Munchkin Land, singing about how she should not panic, everything will be alright, just as soon as she can get home. But in the meantime, she'll just have to wander the streets alone, singing into the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
That scene gave me a little bit of anxiety, because I'm just like, this woman is alone on what just looks like a not very friendly part of New York, and I just kept being like, don't get mugged, don't get mugged,
You know
don't
what
get
gave
attacked.
me anxiety? Do-do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. That's where we first see that dude with the...
Oh, yes. I did not... Okay. You can make comments about that, but don't say anything
Oh, no,
more,
I'm not going to say anything more.
'cause
I'm
I
just
haven't-
going to say he...
I have a note later.
You have
for
a
that
note
guy.
later with him, too?
Yes.
Because that's the first time that we see him, is when she's wandering through New Oz, York.
So remember what Kay is talking about, listeners. I will have them elaborate when it gets to that note. Dorothy Ross wanders the dark, singing her ballad of confusion. The sun rises, and Dorothy finds her way to a junkyard, I think, with a cornfield in it. And Ronald McDonald's homeless cousin, Scarecrow, Michael McJackson. Dorothy watches as the crows are grubbing down on some sweet corn, while mocking McJackson over his dumb ideas like reading and getting down from his crucifix. The crows make Mick Jackson recite the crow rules.
Crow commandments.
Thank you.
The crow commandments. Never forget the crow commandments.
What are they, Kay? Can you translate to English for the majority of our listeners?
Those who know the crow commandments will understand.
Kay forgot the crow commandments.
Yes, I did.
And the crow anthem, which Mick Jackson sings like a fucking god. Holy crap. It's been so long since I've heard MJ sing, I forgot why he's called the king of pop. However, in this show, he is the jester of popcorn. Dorothy is moved by Mick Jackson's plea for help and comes to his rescue, pulling him up from the crucifix and sicking her vicious hound on those no-good crows. After Dorothy and Toto chase away those pecker faces, she comes to Mick Jackson's side and helps him up. Mick Jackson takes a few moments to find his bones and muscles so that he can stand and walk.
Oh, God.
Dorothy gives some emotional reassurance, saying that he could have gotten down off that crucifix anytime he wanted, but because he believed those nasty crows, he doubted himself.
Come down off your cross.
Yeah. Mick Jackson laments over not coming to that conclusion himself, if only he had some gray matter in his head. Dorothy tries to reassure him that he's not stupid, but he shows her, in fact, that his head is stuffed with garbage. Oh, and Mick Jackson has, fortune cookies and shredded books stuffed in him, so he's literally full of wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And that is actually probably one of my very favorite bits throughout the entire show.
Same.
Is just how the Scarecrow he'll either, reach under his arm and pull out a strip of paper that's got a wise quote from, a philosopher or a writer or somebody, and it's just such a great touch that he does.
Yeah.
Multiple times throughout the show.
And I think that's one of the things that people hated about it, because that's some of the Estian type stuff.
I liked
it.
I thought it was really good.
I thought that it worked for those scenes.
Yeah, I mean...
specifically, those scenes.
And I would agree. And what's interesting, you were talking about the Estian stuff from the intro part of the show. I did not see as much of that, really, because I was kind of looking for it, with exception to Scarecrow. But I don't know, MJ's Scarecrow was such a good role.
His is my favorite portrayal of the Scarecrow ever.
He really did a really good job.
Yeah.
And just, reading those little bits of wisdom every time they'd come across, a trial or a new challenge or something, inconveniencing them. He would just read these little bits of wisdom and say, who it's from.
Yeah.
And it was just really good.
It was. I liked those. I like his Scarecrow a lot.
Dorothy, Ross, Mick Jackson, and Toto ease on down the yellow brick road after being snubbed by 2 more racist taxi cabs. So after Dorothy helps Mick Jackson down, they chase away the crows and helps him to his feet, and he's discovered he has bones and can walk now. She's like, well, why don't you come with me to the Wiz? He can get you a brain and stuff like that. And she's like, but I don't know where the yellow brick road is. And it was funny, initially they're heading back the way that Dorothy came initially, and there were 2 cabs this time, but then they both boing, out of service and drive away before they can get into them. And then they start finding little pieces of yellow brick. Yeah. And they're following the trails of these little pieces of yellow brick, and then they're finding whole yellow bricks, and then it just leads to the actual yellow brick road, which it looks like it was just painted on the existing New York, But I thought I thought it was actually kind of an interesting touch.
It really is. There are things in this that, I mean, yes, it feels dystopian and it feels post-apocalyptic, but it does give you something extra that other versions don't of The Wizard of Oz. The closest you get to that is Return to Oz, which you still need to see.
So yeah, I haven't seen it. It is its own flair, but it is a grittier, darker, more dystopian, more depressing flair, which actually kind of works in its favor when it comes to the end, and then it sheds that desperation and despair, and it's more optimistic.
That's how you do a gritty reboot or reimagining right, is if you are taking something that was upbeat and you're making it gritty, you still need to have bits of that upbeatness. It's kind of why, like, I'm not as huge of a fan of these live-action Disney movies that kind of make everything darker and edgier, because it's like, well, but you don't bring back some of the charm that was there.
Yeah.
With this, even though it's cheesy at times, it like that charm is a little cheesy at times. It's still good, and it's still grounded in this weird reality that they've created for this version of Oz.
It feels this weird reality they've superimposed on the existing New York.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag of...
It really is.
Of things, but...
Which is why I feel like if you're just out of hand saying it sucks, it's like, well, no, parts of it do suck. Like, there are things that are not good, but you can't discount the good things in it.
Yeah, and that's definitely fair. I don't think it's fair to say that the movie sucks. It's fair to say that the movie is strange. Mm-hmm. It's fair to say the movie's unusual.
It's fair to say it's nightmare fuel.
It's fair to say that there are weak parts and strong parts, but it's not a bad movie. It's just different.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with all those differences, just from my own artistic filter.
Yeah.
Which, granted, with how not well versed in the Wizard of Oz world I am, that's, take it or leave it. It's one of those things, I can really just say whether or not something resonated with me or it didn't. That's about all I can do.
I think most of the fans of this, outside of, black people who grew up with this, most of the fans are Oz fans, of the books, from what I was just looking at online. So I'm kind of like, okay, that's who has made this into a cult classic. Is folks like me on both ways.
No, that's fair. Both ways.
Giggity.
Dorothy and McJackson ease on down the road to an abandoned amusement park, and a bronze tin man who is trapped under a trapped under the fat ass of a jilted lover. Dorothy and McJackson save the metal-ish man who curses the man who made him for making him so damn handsome, witty, and charming, but for not giving him a heart. Dorothy Ross tries to reassure Bronzed Tin Man that everyone has a heart, and he's like, "Bitch, are you still high from the blow NATO? I do not have a heart." Dorothy looks inside his chest and sees it's empty. And so when they first come on down and they hear, I can't remember what it is they hear that first makes him go to the Tin Man, just
oh, he's just, help!
Okay, he is crying for help. But, he is crushed underneath, this statue of a really fat woman, and then over the course of his thing, he's talking about how, that's his fourth wife or something like that, and I don't remember why he was crushed underneath her, he made her angry or something, and so she sat on him. It's not...
They don't really explain that.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I'm glad I did not miss something with that.
That's another one of those choices that I was like, bruh?
Yeah, that one definitely made me do a... curious dog head tilt.
Yeah.
Bronze Man gets caught up and sings about how he wishes he had a heart so he could know if what he feels is real or not. Excuse me. Then after that song, because it was so emotional, he rusted his mouth shut from his robot tears. Bronze Man's request for oil is answered, and Dorothy squirts all over his face and down his spine. The freshly lubricated Bronze Man sings again about how excited he is that he can dance now, I think.
So, I'm amazed that you glossed over the wooden faces that came to life.
I think it's because that didn't bother me as much as I think that you thought it would. So, when the bronze...
Meanwhile, your sister was just, ah!
Yeah, that was funny. I think the reaction from both of you is what was the funniest part to me. So when Bronze Man is first singing about how he doesn't have a heart and stuff like that, there's this crap, what's the name of it? What's the name of those What's the name of, like, when you have a picture engraved on a wall, and it's a form of stone... Oh, crap.
Oh, no. What is it called? Crap. But yeah.
Yeah. So, this... I don't know if they're supposed to be muses or what, but these three women in close proximity to one another, and their heads are, like, touching. It's like this relief. That's what it's called.
Yes, a relief.
There we go. Art history for the win. This relief that's a depiction of these three women, like, kind of bundled together. And to me, they look like they were supposed to be, like, muses or some type of goddess or something. Like, they look like
they were on either the entrance to, like, a fun house or a carousel or something, because this is all in Coney Island.
Yeah.
That this is going on.
Something like that. But anyway, their faces are real people faces, but they're painted to look like they're wood. And then they would, like, open their eyes and, like, say stuff, like, sing to the music and stuff. And it was creepy. But I don't, for whatever reason, it didn't get to me like it did to you and my sister.
Because I remember as a kid it got to me, and then I was just like, oh, this is going to be weird. I apologize in advance.
I mean, it definitely was weird.
I apologize so much in advance for this movie.
Anyways, the newly forged party ease on down the road to meet the lion. We all know, no one will be surprised, everyone has seen some version of this story. We know that they're going to meet the lion next. But a twist! Instead of coming to a forest, they ease on down to the local library, where a stone lion statue is checking out the group. Bronze Man feels someone undressing him with their eyes and calls the party to a halt, voicing his concern about the supposed statue and its leering gaze. Dorothy dismisses Bronze Man's concerns, being like, oh, it's just a statue made of stone, you know, dirt and water mixed together, left to harden, then chiseled into a desired shape. It was actually pretty funny, too, because you see the stone statue, and as they're walking by, the eyes open, and they're real eyes, and it follows them. And then when Bronze Man's like, wait, that statue, you know, it's looked at us, then the eyes, whoop, like, go back, and like, but just the physical comedy displayed in that moment was very on point. It was great. The lion has had enough of Dorothy Ross's dismissive attitude towards Bronze Man and breaks free of the confines of his elaborate stone costume. The lion sings about how he's a mean old lion and how fierce he is. Toto, however, read the book and is not having any of this pussy shit. Toto bites the lion, causing him to cry and whimper. The group takes turns calling the lion a coward. The lion fills in the group about his tragic backstory and how he was exiled for being a squishy, sensitive ballsack. The group is like, come with us, you hairy taint. Come with us to see the Wiz and get some free shit. The lion is like, I can't, I'm scared. And they sing some courage into her furry ass. The group of four jump on top of 4 different taxi cabs and sing about easing on down the road. They remember that there are 4 black people in New York and can't get a cab, so the party decides to ease on down to the subway instead.
What's funny is when I was in New York, I couldn't get a cab either, so I had to have my mom.
Yeah, your mom had to flag down the taxi cab. God, which I hear that stereotype and I'm like, oh, that can't be, like, surely people are not that terrible, and then...
It happens. I mean, you have witnessed people following us in stores.
Yeah. Being married to Kay has opened my eyes to a lot of shit that black people deal with that I didn't know existed because I'm white.
Yep.
So it's definitely been an eye-opening experience being married.
Whole new world.
Whole new world of stupid racist shit. We did not harmonize. I'll bleed from my eyes when I look at this whole new world of shit.
I'll get to edit it later.
The party, waiting for the train to Emerald City to arrive, but But instead, we get a fucking what the fuck scene. A crazy hobo character that was shown briefly in earlier scenes, but I have not mentioned until now, shows back up and comes down the subway stairs to freak the fuck out of our party of heroes. So, Kay. Yes. So, Kay, do you care to explain what this individual looks like, and maybe some of the times that we had seen them earlier in the show that I did not cover?
So let's see. We have seen him right near the start when right before Dorothy's gonna see the Scarecrow. And he's this man who's got kind of like this, almost a mask, but a hat and a little bit raggedy stuff. And he's holding a tray that has these two puppets hanging off of it. And as he walks, you've got the that he does, and then that's the first time, and then you see him again when it's like every party meets up with the Tin Man.
Every time they meet a new person, he shows up. And it's always briefly.
It's always very brief, but it's enough to be like, who knows?
So this is where he gets his big reveal, I guess, more or less.
So where we had the Carlöttas in the last version of The Wiz that we saw, we get this scene.
Yes. The creepy hobo pulls,
Hobo.
Wow. My tongue is rebelling against me. The creepy hobo pulls two tiny paper lantern men out and inflates them to be larger than the average bear. And sicks them on our heroes, who flee in fear. Like, these... Like, if I say paper lantern, you probably have an image in your head of, like, you know, this kind of rigid, ripply paper lantern. Mm-hmm. That's what these guys look like. But they're all red, humanoid shaped, and he just sits there and, like, inflates them, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger until they're, like, 7-8 feet tall. Mm-hmm. And then they...
More murderous than the average bear.
Yeah. And then they chase the heroes in a very awkward manner. This whole scene is fucking out of control. This scene is nuts.
Yes, it is. This is the one scene when I was a kid that did give me a little bit of nightmares.
So, the paper lantern men are chasing the group. The lion flees like the cowardly fuck he is, leaving his newly made friends to certain death. Our group is now attacked by trash cans with teeth who try to eat the Scarecrow, loose wires that electrocute the Bronze Man, and pillar people who attack Dorothy. The lion finds his balls and decides to try and save his friends. Try and save the only friends he has, and succeeds. First, he frees McJackson from the trash can monsters. He then swipes at the cable snakes to get them off of Bronze Man. And then he stops the pillar people from crushing Dorothy and Toto. There was so much weirdness going on in this scene. The trash can monster things actually kind of reminded me a little bit of Daleks or Daleks, whatever they are from Doctor Who. Like the way that they were moving, they just looked like these trash cans, like moving on wheels, except where you'd put the trash in was these maws of big sharp teeth. And then the cables that were electrocuting the Tin Man, he was like just up against this wall, kind of like, holy shit, what's going on? And then these cables sneak down from the power box behind him or whatever, and then just start electrocuting him. And then the pillar things, like I call them pillar people, but I don't know what else to call them.
Pillars that
just like the stone pillars in the subway, like they start breaking free and then coming over and trying to crush people between two of them. Mm-hmm. And Lion gets in between those two. It is like,
I'm sure that you've witnessed me when I'm throwing stuff away, like when we're at fast food places, how quickly I will make sure part of it is cleanliness, but another part of it is this scene.
So that's fair.
It could be a mimic.
Oh, yeah, seriously, that's what these things reminded me of, were mimics.
Yeah.
And for people who don't know, mimics are a D&D thing where it's a treasure chest. You think it's a treasure chest, and you go to open it, but it's this big fucking monster that's in it, and it tries to kill you.
That's also one of the Oz books, The Magical Mimics of Oz. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay then.
They're bad guys. It's a good book. It's a good book.
The group bravely flees the subway to progress the plot. As the group is walking down the street, they are propositioned by a legion of poppy prostitutes who pollinate the faces of our heroes and make them fall asleep, and then they get thrown down a slide. So you're going to have to help me with this scene because I think I might have missed a part or two, because first they're walking down the street and you see just this battalion of...
It's a fucking battalion.
This battalion of poppy prostitutes. It's like 100 women, very scantily clad, all with these red poppy flowers in their hair. So you're, okay, this is the poppy field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can't remember if the guys were like, ooh, or not, but I remember Lion's the first one who gets
It was
dusted
Lion
in the
and
face.
Dorothy that move forward through it. And then as they're going forward, the doors or the gates slam behind them. Behind our party, and that's when the Tin Man and the Scarecrow are like, no, it's a trap, don't go that way, no! And, of course, they're not affected, because one's made of straw, or garbage, one's made of tin, bronze, and so, you know, it's like in the book, where only Dorothy and the Lion and Toto were affected by the poppies, but yeah, they dust them, and I always thought that it was like a mix between a brothel and an opium den a little bit. Like, going that route, especially because of the smoke that comes out of the
that makes sense.
Flower that they send everyone into on the slide.
Okay, so it was the poppy prostitutes that put them in the slide.
Yes.
Okay, because I don't remember seeing that part. I just remember seeing them come down the slide.
Yeah, they load them onto the scaffold and then raise the scaffold up to the slide, and then they go down the slide.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, and there were some fun neon signs. Like, one of them was like something thighs. Like, it was stuff that you could tell was trying to be like a little tongue-in-cheek sexy.
Yeah.
But
not push the rating too far. Yeah, stuff that a child would read and not get.
Yes.
But a parent would read and be like, hee hee hee.
Yep.
Anyway, once the party gets separated and Lion, Dorothy, and Toto are tossed into the slide, the Bronze Man and Scarecrow find their way to the party, and Bronze Man cries on the Lion's face to wake him up. And Lion curses the gods to make Dorothy wake up. Then Dorothy holds the sad Lion and sings comfort to him. That scene was a little odd. Did I get that right, Kay?
Mostly.
Because, like, Tin Man and Scarecrow find the passed out the rest of the party, and Bronze Man is, like, crying over Lion, wake up, Lion! And his tears are dripping down and hitting Lion in the face, and he's like, then he wakes up. Mm-hmm. And then they can't wake up Dorothy, and so the Lion is, like, cursing the gods above and doing this big, huge monologue.
Well, it's more that they realize that would wake them up, so the Tin Man's working on Dorothy, and the Lion just sees that Dorothy's out, and Toto's out, and that's when he does his whole, I failed you, curse me, and it's this big Shakespearean
Shakespearean monologue. And, very flowery, very...
Yeah, and then he tries to send himself back through the poppy slide, basically like, I don't deserve to live.
And then they grab him and they're like, no, get back here. Ah.
And, like, Dorothy's awake by that point, and it's like, no, it's fine, Lion.
And that's when she, like, holds him and is, like, singing to him about how he's so brave.
Yep, and it's, like, my favorite version of that, because when you have this song in the original, it's after the Carlöttas, and they are, like, the Tin Man and the Scarecrow are kind of mocking the Lion, and Dorothy's the one who comes to his aid. In this one, all three of them are trying to prop up the Lion.
Yeah.
And it's so well done, and so well acted, and so well sung, and the arrangement is a little different, because in the original, it's just a duet between Dorothy and the Lion. In this, by the end of it, all of them are singing, like, cheering up the lion, basically.
I remember you saying that. I love 4-part harmonies.
Yes, I do. I love them so much. I'm a sucker for them. If a show has it, it automatically gets a check mark in its favor.
Gets 1 bonus point.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, the sun is a big apple in this crazy place. Like, after they have their 4-part harmony, they're standing on, like, this rooftop, and they look across the divide, and they see the yellow brick road, which is apparently a bridge right now.
It's over the Brooklyn Bridge.
Over the Brooklyn Bridge, I think you're right, leading to the Emerald City. And the sun rises, and it's a fucking apple. Because New York is the Big Apple. I hate that visual pun so much. Applesauce this fucking joke. Like...
You were so funny when that happened.
I was so mad about that.
Yes, it was great.
I don't know why that bothers me so much.
Because when you're the one making the pun, it's okay. When someone else does it, it's not.
Well, like, as the sun was rising, it wasn't a perfect sphere, and it looked like there was an arm sticking out of it, and I'm like, what the fuck is with the sun? And then as it, like, rises higher, it cools, and then you can see that it's just this big red apple in the sky, and I was just like, fuck you, movie. Anyways, our group comes to the entrance of the Emerald City, and a grumpy Greenbeard man says they have to use the side entrance. But he notices Dorothy's silver shoes and is like, oh shit, never mind, and lets them in. The gang goes into the lobby of the Emerald Trade Center, and it appears we know the origin of the Blownado from Act 1, because these people are cocaine disco raving, singing about being green, and you gotta be green to be seen, you gotta be thinking green for this scene, because if you want to be seen in this scene, you better be green.
You've got to be seen. Green. Wouldn't be caught. Dead. Red. Yeah.
Oh wait, never mind. The Wiz's disembodied voice comes out over the Ozacom and says, never mind! Until further notice, everything is red! The Wiz has spoken! We come back to the previously green scene where everything is now red, because they'd never be caught dead wearing anything but red. And the cocaine disco scene continues, but this time with a busted blood vessel in your eye while you watch it. The Wiz's disembodied voice chimes in once again and decides to shower his court with a new color to cocaine dance to.
Gold! Gold, Kay! Woohoo! Gold! There's gold in that there scene! Beautiful cocaine disco dancing gold! Hee-hoo! You have to be bold and wear gold! Hee-hoo!
So, I've got a couple of things about this scene that, while it's crazy, I love it for some reasons.
Hit me with them.
First off, this is a nice nod to the book, because in the Wizard of Oz book, the only reason the Emerald City is green is because they're all wearing green glasses.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, and so in order to change the colors, they've got these lights that change, and then everything changes to red or green or gold. And so it's a cool touch there. And then another thing that I really like in this scene are the microphone and the camera.
Okay, so I don't have a note about the camera, so go ahead and talk about that.
So the camera is the first one that we get to see, and the camera is a walking camera.
It's a walking human-sized bipedal camera.
Yeah, and like it will have a image of Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion, and the Tin Man will be standing in front of the camera, and the camera will just be like, and walk off, and then a couple of times it does, like, focus on them, and so it's cool to see that. I like the use of that character, as well as the mic. Those are two very Ozian-type things. Like, inanimate objects that are moving around and kind of
free will.
Yeah, have free will and are huge and bipedal, and
So that is an Oz.
that is an Ozian thing. Like there are some touches in this that they do a twist on it, but it's still Ozian. And then you have the other stuff that I really like. I love, even though this is where I'm pretty sure all the money went, I do like the costumes in that scene, because they're just...
The costumes are good.
Oh my gosh.
They're very extravagant court apparel, like things that you would imagine people wearing to, a royal ball or something like that, to try and show off for the nobility and stuff like that.
Yeah, and when everything's gold, they have this long-ass piano that's just... that they're all dancing on top of, and that part's really awesome. And then owl-eared listeners and viewers of The Wiz would notice whose voice was the Wizard of Oz's voice.
I did notice that.
Yes.
I did notice that. We'll talk about him
when we get there, but yeah.
Anyways, the Gold Cane dance scene continues for a bit.
Gold Cane.
Before the Oz chimes in again to be like, "Send up that girl with the silver shoes." Dorothy Ross and her friends try to enter the Wiz Tower, but the Golden Guards are like, "Only the silver-footed one." Dorothy is like, "But we all want to talk to the Wiz." And the guard calls over Mike. He says, "Hey, Mike!" And the walking microphone comes on over. Dorothy speaks into it and is like, "Yo, me and my friends have traveled far to see your whiz ass, and if you don't see us all, then you don't get to see me. Copacetic?" So, that basically is what happens. The Wiz is like, "No, just you." And she's like, "Well, but my friends want to see you too, and if they can't come up, then I won't come up." And then he's like, "Fine."
Yeah.
And permits them all access. The Wiz caves to the demands of the young woman, and the gang goes up the elevator to see the Wiz. The Wiz speaks to the group through his proxy, a giant silver head, which spews fire and yells at them, "Who disturbs my slumber?" Oh, wrong movie. The silver Oz head flashes between silver, green, and red, as it's like, "What do you want? What's in it for me? Give me your shoes! What? You won't? Go kill Eveline and I'll help you." Mm-hmm. So it does the typical Wizard of Oz thing. First it's like, "What do you want?" And then they're like, "We want free shit, And then he's like, "No." And they're like, but. And he goes, "Okay, I've changed my mind." Well, first he says, "Give me your shoes." She's like, "But I can't." "Then go kill this witch."
Yeah.
Go kill the witch and then I'll grant your wishes for you. The party pees a little, then flees to the local motel. Rather than the group being like, "We're not going to help you, Dorothy. We're just going to sit here and get drunk," like they did in the stage version. They're like, "We're all friends. We're going to help you fight that evil witch."
Yep.
The group goes down to the door guard and are like, "Okay, we're going on a suicide mission to kill the Wicked Witch of the West. How do we get there?" The guard pulls up a manhole cover and is like, "It's a shitty walk to her kingdom." Dorothy asks the logical question, "How do we find her?" To which the guard says, "Don't worry about it. She'll find you."
Mm-hmm.
Ha, 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 ha. Cool. Nothing like going up a shitty shit street towards an assassination attempt of a suicide mission without even the element of surprise.
Mm-hmm.
The next scene is in Eveline's happy sweatshop kingdom, where everyone is suffering happily. Eveline comes in looking like a mix between the Queen of Hearts, Ursula, and a bejeweled Carmen Miranda. Eveline does her "I don't want any bad news" song, and then is like, "Go back to toiling and suffering in my factory of infinite joy and happiness."
A fun touch is that as this scene is going on, or at the start of this scene before the musical number, you see the crows, some of the poppies, and our creepy Carlötta man coming in, or being brought in chains, because they did not succeed in stopping Dorothy.
Yeah, so you had seen, I was, because when you mentioned that before, you said that This never said, and I don't... Is it in the book that they're all agents of the witch? Okay.
Nope, that was a twist just for this.
See, and I wondered if they were agents of the witch because she never says anything, or if she's just a rampant slaver and just has happened to capture these people to add to her free labor factory.
Her line that she has basically being like, they're on their way and none of you have stopped me, so I have to get the flying monkeys, kind of implies that she has been, ever since Dorothy landed on her sister, trying to kill Dorothy.
Get those shoes. Man, women in their shoes, man. Anyway.
I wouldn't know. I can't find no fucking shoes in my size.
Eveline calls in her flying monkey soldiers, who are these cool-looking biker guys. The costume design for them is particularly cool. These monkey guys, like, they're obviously on, like, bicycles, I think is what they're on. But the way that the costume is molded around them, they have, like, these big, huge silver wings that go down the length of the bicycle costume, and they look like exhaust pipes, but they're formed to look like bird wings.
Yeah.
And the monkeys have, like, biker jackets and goggles and stuff like that, and their hands are, like, up front on the... where would be the handlebars. Like, it's... when you look at the costumes, you can see what went into them a bit.
Yeah.
But just the spin on flying monkeys really just being like this biker gang was an interesting touch, and it fit this world particularly well.
It really did. Like, the changes that they make fit for the world.
Yeah.
Except for the apple.
Yeah, fucking apple.
Everything else fits for this world. One other costuming note I wanted to bring up was the costumes of the Winkies, or rather the sweatshop workers, are these big, heavy masks that are just grotesque and exaggerated features and stuff like that. And I just want to put that in y'all's brains before we move on to the next note.
Yes. Okay, so Eveline calls in her flying monkey soldiers. Eveline sends them on her counter-assassination mission, minus the assassination, as she wants Dorothy Ross, Mick Jackson, Bronze Man, and Puss in No Boots, and the dog Toto taken alive. She tells them not to damage the silver slippers. And with that last objective specified, the biker gang is off to conduct some flying monkey business. The gang is ambushed by the biker monkeys, and everyone is captured. Inside Eveline's sweatshop factory throne room, Eveline is like, "I'ma do bad stuff to your friends if you don't give me your shoes." Dorothy is like, "I can't, they're magic." Eveline then proceeds to have her minions... Do you want to say something before I get in here?
Before she has this happen, she tries to go for the shoes. With one of the most body horror things.
Yes, that's right.
Initially,
initially Dorothy's there, and like Eveline goes to like reach down and touch the silver shoes, and her hand curls backwards.
Yep.
So like if you just want to imagine like curling your fingers like you normally would if you were making a fist, but like reverse in the way that it would snap all the bones in your fingers.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's yeah. I watched that and I made my hand go ooh, like
yeah.
I can't. They're magic. Eveline then proceeds to have her minions buzzsaw Mick Jackson in half, crush the Bronze Man in a panini press, and string the lion up by his tail. Dorothy is like, "Torture my friends all you want. I'll never give up my magical silver Prada slippers."
And the whole time her friends are saying, "Don't give up the shoes. It's okay. We'll be fine. Just don't give up those shoes."
Eveline is like, "Mustard or sauerkraut? On your hot dog!" And she has her minion take Toto over to the furnace. Toto was great, and he had the look on his face of, "I know this is a movie, but I'm close to the fire."
Yeah.
And the dog was fine. No harm came to the dog, but the dog did have this panicked look on its face as this guy's carrying this dog in one hand, goes up a couple steps to this furnace, like opens it up, and there's a roaring fire that comes out. And I want to say Toto was probably 3 to 4 feet away from the entrance.
Yeah.
But you could see him kind of turn and jerk, and his eyes got wide. He was like,
Oh shit!
What are you guys gonna do to me?
This just got real.
Where's my agent?
Yep.
And that's the most relatable thing for me is what Dorothy does. Like, you know, her dog gets threatened, and that's what makes Dorothy go, oh.
Dorothy is overcome by her inner white girl and is like, no, don't hurt my dog. I can handle you torturing my friends, but don't hurt my dog. Dorothy gives in and begins to take off her shoes when McJackson points out the fire alarm. Dorothy, not knowing that the witch is weak to water, pulls the alarm, which sets off the sprinklers. Eveline screams in pain and anger, announcing to everyone that she's allergic to water. Eveline melts into her chair, and the back of her throne falls forward, revealing that her evil throne was a glorified porcelain throne. Eveline is flushed away from the scene.
To be fair, if that had been Latte that was being threatened, I would have taken off those shoes and yeeted them. I'd have been like, nope, dogs, give me my dog.
You know what's something that I just thought of, though, is Dorothy's shoes obviously caused the witch pain. Should kick the shit out of the witch.
You know, that actually...
But no, that made me laugh, like, the whole... Because I had to think about that. I was like, well, if my dog is in danger, there'd be some dead people.
Yeah,
so.
there's a lot of things that I would do for our dogs, so...
The melted witch is flushed out of the scene, and the enslaved Winkies rejoice and dance at the murder of their slave master. The Winkies strip down to their undies and dance some more, asking if you can feel the brand new day. So that is
very simplified on an amazing scene.
So that's kind of why I knew you would want to talk about it, because I knew you really liked that scene, so I was like, I'll let Kay take it from here.
So, yeah, so before they even start the singing, as soon as Eveline is killed, then the Winkies set to work to fix the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and take down the lion, and as the water is falling from the sprinklers, it's melting the sewing machines, and it's melting all of the tools of the oppression.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Beautiful.
Yeah. And so, like, this scene, you have them first dancing, celebrating their freedom in these heavy, over-encumbered, exaggerated features costumes, and then the music shifts, and you have just this violin. I want to say it was a violin playing with, like, some other, like, it was very stripped down at this point with the music. It wasn't as loud and exciting yet. And you see them start to unzip these giant costumes, revealing themselves. And as they're coming out, they're looking at their arms, they're touching their skin for the first time as free people. And it's like, that scene alone is worth the movie. Because it's so heavily symbolic, and it's so cool. And when they come out of it, like, it's different body types of black people, different skin tones, different hair styles, like, just the whole range. And they're all beautiful, and this is portrayed as all beautiful. And it's great to see that on the big screen, and to see a moment like this celebrating being freed from this oppressive force. And it just it's one of my favorite scenes in the whole movie.
It is a good scene because the music's good, the dancing's good, like the whole scene is good. Like it is. And what made me laugh too when I was typing this up, and I was like, she's not gonna like the fact that it's so simplified, and I was like, yeah, but she's gonna want to talk about it.
Oh God, because it is my favorite fucking scene in this movie. Even as a little kid, this was my favorite scene, because I knew enough to know what they were symbolizing. And to be like, okay, that's what's going on here. So, yeah, I just had to gush about that scene.
The gang hitches a ride back to the Emerald City on the flying monkeys. Dorothy and the gang go back into the building to find that the Wiz's palace is empty. Nothing fancy, nothing at all, except a severed silver head and a cot that is very obviously hiding someone underneath it.
Real quick, I want to point out, that's also in the book, where the flying monkeys take him back.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Point for the Wiz.
Dorothy cuts right through the bullshit and rips the blanket off the cot, revealing a cowering Richard Pryor, who is the Wiz. The Richard, formerly known as the Wiz, offers up his entire backstory to appease the angry mob, who are ready to collect their reward from his soaking wet hide. Soaking wet because he peed, because he's the Wiz.
God damn it.
Or he fear-whizzed, if you prefer. Dorothy fills in for the part of the Wiz and alleviates the melancholy feelings of her friends, saying, "McJackson, you're the smart one. Bronze Man, you're the caring one. Puss in No Boots, you're the brave one." She then sings to her friends to believe in themselves, as McJackson points out that Dorothy Ross is trapped here without the Wiz. The plot moves forward, and Glenda Horn, the Witch of the South, who tells Dorothy she was so super-duper brave and that if she believes in herself, she can go home. I mean, I now know that she's the one who sent the Blow-NATO to abduct Dorothy in the first place. Everyone has been a pawn in Glenda Horn's sick, twisted game of good versus evil. Free choice is an illusion. We're all in the giant simulation. Reality is a lie. Reality is a lie. Reality is Oh, God. Oh, I'm okay. I'm alright, just still coming down from the cocaine tornado. Oh, my God.
Fun fact, Lena Horne was Sidney Lumet's mother-in-law at the time, so...
I thought it was funny when you said that in the beginning part, that, oh, and he cast his mother-in-law as the good... I was like, wow, good for her, I guess. And then, like, Lena fucking Horne.
Like, yeah.
Alright then.
Take back everything you've said, because it's Lena fucking Horne.
So... I do want to go back a little bit and talk about the Wiz. I like Richard Pryor. I thought he was really shitty in this. Like, no,
I agree.
And it's unfortunate because I think he is a good comedian and stuff like that. And there's movies I've seen him in that I thought he did a good job. Mm-hmm. He was not a good Wiz, and I don't know if it was direction or what, because the Wiz is this bumbling, cowardly fool who's like tripping over himself to explain the situation and just all of this. It was just really not that good of a scene. Like, it's probably my least favorite reveal of the Wiz out of every version I've seen, revealing the wizard to be just a person.
Yeah.
And he talks about that he was a politician and he was running for every office he possibly could, but nobody would elect him.
Yep.
And then, what was it? I can't remember why he took the hot air balloon.
Because he was running as the dog catcher, and he did a last-ditch effort to throw flyers from the hot air balloon, and then the hot air balloon went off course.
Yeah, and then it took him to Oz, and the normal thing, if he comes down the hot air balloon, they've nenever seen a hot air balloon before, so they're like, oh, you must be a wizard. And
yeah.
It's as quick as that to become a dictator, you know? Mm-hmm. And...
No, the choice that they made with... Because... I'm thinking it was probably a direction and writing choice to have him act the way he did. It wasn't a great choice.
It really wasn't. It was definitely one of the weaker moments.
They could have still had Richard Pryor be the Wiz and just make that scene a little better. Make it more like the scene with Queen Latifah, which is more in tune with the stage play. That's something they should have taken from the stage play.
Yeah, her performance as the Wiz was definitely better.
It's just like doing the, oh yeah, I'm a con man, not I'm shaking with fear and gonna piss myself.
Yeah, he is. He is like, that's the thing, is like, you would think that he was the cowardly lion from the way he was behaving. And rather than, when everybody's like, oh, well, we're not gonna get our reward. I'll never have a brain. I'll never have a heart. I'll never have courage. And rather than the Wiz being like, oh, but you've had those things all along.
Yeah.
It's Dorothy who jumps in and is like, oh, but you have this. You are this. You've been doing this the whole time.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And while that, that change isn't necessarily bad, it's just different. I just am not thrilled with how disappointing Richard Pryor's
that's
portrayal of the Wiz was.
Yeah, because it could have been done better.
It could have been done better. Like, you could have had a better portrayal of the Wiz and still had Dorothy be the dispenser of positivity. Because I actually kind of liked that. I actually kind of liked her being like, going to, Scarecrow was like, you do have a brain. You were the one coming up with all these good plans, Bronze Man, you are you do have a heart. You have been so caring and so loving.
Yeah.
And Lion, you do have courage. You've been so brave.
Yeah.
Like, I do like that aspect of the plot.
But they could have had Richard Pryor acted a little bit better because he was a good actor.
Yeah, like I said, I've seen him in other movies and he did a good job. But this. Maybe it was just a bad role, bad direction, whatever, but it just did not work.
I'll blame Joel Schumacher again.
It didn't jive. Anyways, after Glenda Horne tells Dorothy that she's had the power inside of her all along, after Dorothy Ross bids tearful goodbye to her friends, they sink into the dark, and Dorothy begins to sing about what home means to her. So, real quick, that was a really interesting part, because, like, Glenda comes out of nowhere, basically, to be like, I've been watching over you and not doing a damn thing, and when Dorothy is saying goodbye to her friends, oh, I'll miss you, I'll miss you, I'll miss you, the room is already kind of dark, but then they just fucking disappear into the darkness.
Yes.
It's like, and then it's just Dorothy. All you can see is Dorothy in this darkness with Glenda, and then Dorothy starts singing to the camera, and this scene is beautiful, but kind of creepy.
Yeah.
As Dorothy locks eyes with the camera and cranks her performance up to 11, she sings about how these experiences have taught her how to love, how to be brave, how to face, and the faces of people from her home and from Oz are zooming around in the background. Dorothy finishes the song with a triple click of her heels and finds herself back in the middle of the blowstorm and that she was stuck in at the beginning. Dorothy does a quick line before running back in her apartment. The end. So, but that scene, like this last part where Dorothy is like just, like I said, she cranks her performance up to 11.
If she had been at this level the whole movie, maybe Diana Ross wouldn't have been one of the mistakes of casting the movie.
Like, this last slice of the movie is such a powerful performance, and she has, like, tears in her eyes.
Yes.
And it is just emotional. It sounds beautiful. The imagery is a little creepy because, like, it's pretty close up on her face. I mean, her head isn't taking up the whole screen because you see images of her family members as well as people that they've encountered on their adventures, like, kind of ghostly, like, on either side of her head, like, zooming back, but just... I was not a fan of her staring into the camera and, like, looking right. I was like, this is a little unnerving.
Oh, I have eye contact issues, so that's,
But it's just, it's disturbing in movies, I think, because there's not supposed to be a camera, for the movie. So I had mixed feelings about that scene because beautiful singing, very emotional, odd imagery, and then also staring into my soul and judging me. And
you can... That was one thing that was wild, was watching her throat as she is singing. Like, it was close enough that you could see what it takes to sing like Diana Ross.
You just, like, she would sing and you'd watch, like, her throat tighten and stuff, and you just see all these muscles in her throat working, and I'm just like, holy fuck. But, yeah, and then she clicks her heels, and, like, because the camera zooms in, shows her silver feet, she clicks her heels 3 times, and then, boom, like, she's back in New York. There's snow all around her.
Regular ass shoes.
She's got Toto in her arms and just walks right up to her apartment building and The end.
Yep. I forgot to mention, though, the cute little star babies that were around Glinda.
Oh, yeah.
Those babies were so cute.
Do they serve a purpose, or are they just there to be cute little babies?
I think they were just there to be cute little babies because they're not quadlings. They're not...
So when Glenda Horn is like in the stars and like, because like the first time we see her is right after Dorothy gets sucked up by the cocaine tornado.
Glinda Horn.
Hey, there you go. Very nice. Glinda Horn is holding the tornado in her hand, and then she like blows it, and that's when Dorothy goes flying into Oz. And while we see her kind of among the stars, as Kay had said, there's these smaller star children around her, just these adorable little black kids, and
They're so cute.
They
You
were
just
cute.
want to pinch their little cheeks and go, oh, you're so adorable.
they were cute. And then we see them again when Glinda Horn shows up to be like, I'm here to save the day, kind of thing, and you see the kids in the background. You don't see much of them, though. They're just kind of there to...
They do a couple of close-ups on the cutest ones.
Their faces made me laugh, though, because I don't know if they were just any cute kid of a relative on set, because none of the kids seemed like they were actor children, because they all had these, like, awkward looks on their faces, like... Why am I here? Like, how long do I have to sit still? Like, they just, they had these looks very much of kind of like, they just were checked out, like they weren't paying attention, and that made me laugh.
Oh, they were so cute, though.
They were cute, though. But, yeah, so this version, very different. Very, very different, but not bad. Like, objectively speaking, really, it's not bad. It's got some odd choices, some things that I don't necessarily care for, but it hit some really high notes on some things, like but like I said before, I think the biggest thing for me that I didn't like was just the setting of New York, and because the entire time we're watching it, so many times I felt like we were watching Godspell, yeah.
There was one touch that I forgot to mention, that at one point when they're easing on down the road, they go past these piles of trash, and I should have looked in to see if that was during one of the sanitation worker strikes, or if they were poking at that a little bit, because...
Oh, maybe.
Because, like, that was a thing going on in the 70s in New York. Like, New York in the 70s was not New York of the now.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's a very different, like, when we were seeing Godspell, you saw the miracle of having an entire street in New York City cleared. That never happens.
Yeah.
New York's not that, and like especially during that time, it's not like that. And so it was. I think that it both works to its favor and doesn't, because some locales that they used do work, like the Emerald City one, where they had the World Trade Center. That worked. I personally, like, even though it's really dark and dystopian, I actually really like the use of the New York Pavilion as Munchkinland, since it had just been under an oppressive ruler. I kind of liked that, because it's like, oh, yeah, the Munchkinland of the 1939 Oz, if they're being ruled by an evil witch, it shouldn't be all bright and happy. It should be a little bit dark and dreary, because...
A good point.
They've been oppressed for years, and that's
point.
Also why I like the sweatshop scene for Eveline, but then there are other things that don't work, like the Scarecrow's garbage patch. Was a little weird. But, yeah, I guess, though, it does kind of work, because Scarecrow is in Munchkinland in the book, but...
It's kind of... I'm trying to think into myself, like, drawing comparisons between both versions of The Wiz, what I liked more, what I didn't like, in other ones, and it kind of is hard to compare, because, let's see... Almost 40 years apart.
Yes.
Almost 40 years apart. So... practical effects are gonna be better in the more recent one. And that's one of the things, too, is like...
And the more recent one was on stage.
Yeah.
Which is a different beast of its own.
Which is a different beast all of its own. But I'm, like, trying to think, because all the performers did a really good job. I was like trying to think, which line did I like more, which Scarecrow did I like more, which Dorothy did I like more.
I like Shanice Williams better as Dorothy.
Agreed, yeah, agreed. I mean, Diana Ross can sing, and and had to have Michael Jackson as the Scarecrow. He did a really good job.
He's my favorite Scarecrow of all.
It's
all the ones I've seen.
They're both good, but for different reasons and in different ways, and it's just...
I like both Wiz Scarecrows. I like both Wiz Scarecrows better than Ray Bolger.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what much else I have to say, because I liked it. It was weird. It had some things that I didn't like, but overall, I liked it.
Yay! I'm glad, because this is, even though there's a lot of fun poked at this show, it is my favorite adaptation of The Wizard of Oz.
And I'm kind
of... The
The
Wiz in general is, and then this one just holds a piece of my heart, because...
I know we had a stage revival of it recently, but I'm like, I think it's overdue for a new movie. Mm-hmm. It's overdue for a new movie.
I need to see if I can find, because if I can find a version of The Wiz that's completely true to the original Broadway version, because the one that we saw did make some changes. If I can find one that is 100% off of the 1975 Broadway one, we are watching that.
I'm down.
Because, seriously, this is one of my favorite shows.
It's good.
As you can tell.
And I definitely like The Wiz better than the musical version of Wizard of Oz. Mm-hmm. I just think it's better. I think the music's better.
It really is.
It's got more flair. It's not... Because I kind of think the other one's a little bit boring. Mm-hmm. Just kind of dry.
Yeah.
It's in... I don't want to be too harsh. It's perfectly... adequate is the way I want to describe it, but The Wiz is exceptional. It's not adequate, it's exceptional.
And the one that we covered for the Patreon, that one is a stage adaptation of the 1939 Wizard of Oz, which are a little bit biased, but that stage adaptation was pretty friggin' awesome, even for what we had to work with.
And that,
when you think about community theater, you're like, we did a good job with that shit.
You did, and talking about that one, we talked about it on our Patreon episode, but with that one, it is more true to the 1939 Wizard of Oz, and it's still a solid production. Mm-hmm. There isn't anything objectively bad about it. It's one of those quote-unquote, tried and true versions to do, kind of very formulaic. If you hit these things, bam, 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 you'll have a decent musical. Yeah. But it's not The Wiz. The Wiz has so much more...
The Wiz is so good.
The Wiz has so much more energy to it that I really like.
Yes, and that's one of those things, I mean, I'm sure that someday we could do an episode about the 1939 Wizard of Oz. I don't want to do it right now, but we might do it later.
Some Wizard of Oz overload.
We'll get to that.
Uh-oh.
I found a thing. So, but I don't know, the 1939 one, it just doesn't hit the same chord for me. And the only reason that I like the stage version of the 1939 version more than the 1939 version is because I've been in it. And because I have good memories about being in it. Otherwise, I probably would be no, both the stage and the movie version of the 1939 MGM one are meh. But, because the stage version does make some changes that are better than the movie, that have a little bit more fun than the movie, but I don't know. I sit here and go, why are we forcing everyone to watch only the 1939 version? Kids should watch The Wiz.
The only thing in the
mandatory elementary school
now, do you mean
watching.
Do you mean The Wiz we just watched?
Yes.
The only issue I could see with that is the poppy prostitutes.
I was 8 and I saw the poppy prostitutes and I just didn't know what was going on.
Fair. Fair. I just know from my personal experience, I could see parents sometimes losing their shit.
It's true. There would be, but...
Scantily clad women dancing seductively in a kid's film?
Y'all see that in Disney films sometimes. Like, there's some Disney films that got away with some shit.
That's true.
Watch The Wiz.
But Disney can do it.
Fucking Disney.
The mouse has control!
Fuck you, Disney. Anyway, so, are you ready to hear what we're covering next?
I don't know, am I?
I found, through means, a reimagining of The Wizard of Oz. I'm not gonna say which means I found it through.
You say reimagining, which gives me some concerns.
It is a very popular reimagining of the story of Oz, specifically 2 characters that are very important to The Wizard of Oz. It is a little bit more based on the movie than the book, but I found a copy of Wicked.
Oh, I have heard of Wicked.
Yes. I do like Wicked. I do like that one. I've seen it live once because we got lucky on the West End and got some half-price tickets. But, yes. So I found a copy of The Wiz. So
Nice. The only thing I know... Oh, do you mean Wicked?
Wicked, yes, not The Wiz.
The only thing I know about Wicked is it's supposed to be from the perspective of Eveline, right? Like
in this, it's Elphaba.
Elphaba.
Yes.
So is it Elphaba and then she becomes evil and then it's Eveline, just change her name?
No, Eveline's just for The Wiz.
Oh. Okay.
Wizard of Oz, she doesn't have a name other than Wicked Witch of the West, and then for the Wiz it was Eveline, and then for Wicked it's Elphaba.
Fucking okay.
Yep.
Sure. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
But it's from the perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West, and it's supposed to make you be like, oh, she got screwed over, and that's why she's wicked.
Yes. And also, like, it's got some composers that I really like that worked on it and stuff, so, yeah. I'm excited.
Nice.
So, next week, Wicked!
Woo!
So thank you all for listening. We're hoping that you enjoyed this episode and all of our little Ozian tangents and stuff. And
if you want to contact KRI, you can find links to all of our social media stuffs at our website, which is tonedeafmusical.com. We got links to our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, as well as the Cast Junkie Discord server, where we have our own channel over there. You can pop in and say hi. It is rated not safe for work because of me. And
only our channel.
Yeah, we are the only channel that's not safe for work, so... Because theater...
Theater is not safe for work.
That's kind of true. Also, on our website, we also have links if you want to support the show to our Patreon or our Ko-fi, if you want to help with the upkeep and buying and hosting of such said musical theater stuff.
Yep, and we also have links to our merch, our Jello Cat shirts, and I'm going to try to get some more things designed in the coming weeks. We shall see. Maybe if we end up all being quarantined here in Utah, then I'll have plenty of time to work on merch.
Yes, especially if our work business trip gets canceled.
Yup. So, that'll be it for this week. I'm Kay.
I'm Warren.
And this has been... I might have been off key.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure I was. I'm sure you sounded great.
I don't know. My nose buzzed.